Welcome indeed. Here we are on UnpauseIt's YouTube channel. I am Lady Disdain with a Y. You are?
_ the dad abides.
That's right. You do abide. And you're not wearing your dad abides shirt, but you are wearing
some Bill Murray action.
And I'm wearing a Merry Christmas, our mutant enemy, Christmas ugly long sleeve shirt, not a sweater. It's more detailed than you probably needed.
The worst ugly sweater is when someone just attaches a little mirror to the sweater.
Oh, so mean.
Just a mean ugly sweater.
So rude. Well, welcome to UnpauseIt. We are here for a movie review of a movie we just saw last night.
Aquaman.
Yes.
2018. Jason Momoa, right? His first name is Jason Momoa.
He's Jason Momoa.
It's just Momoa. Oh.
And by the way,
he takes his shirt off and the ladies in the crowd.
That's not a spoiler either. You guys, if you've seen the trailer, that's not a spoiler. You know that's coming.
A lot.
Yeah. I will say I think the decibel level in the theater went up substantially as soon as he made his big adult Aquaman entrance.
Yeah, and it was mostly high pitched.
It was quite shrill. I understand it as a woman. I understand.
Jason Momoa is pretty dang good looking.
He's good looking, and we'll get into why he might have been even not the looks part, but possibly your favorite part of this movie.
He was maybe the best favorite part of this movie.
Oh, ooh. Well, before we get into that, what we wanted to do was provide you with what we do on UnpauseIt, which is a parents rating. As you may know, UnpauseIt is not just the two of us. We're the parents. We're 2 of 4 here in our family of UnpauseIt. You might hear the pitter-patter of
around somewhere.
Not so little feet upstairs, right? And they may even skate in because our kids do like to just pop in spontaneously. I'm sure your children might be the same, or children in your life. But we tend to like to kind of grade movies based on what they like too, like how they feel about it.
Right. And do we want to start with them on the parent part of this one? It's safe for kids.
It is safe for kids. Your kids may, if they're not into kissing, they may shield their eyes. We had quite a lot of that going on.
Well, yeah. Nothing gratuitous, nothing crazy. However, even like the stabbings and things weren't gory at all. Without getting into the review side of it,
that's right.
One of our youngins fell asleep.
Yes. Well, and we were seeing a late screening. We were seeing things. And again, I want to point out we were able to go thanks to MiaOnTheGo.com. She helped sponsor our outing and screening of this movie, which is also sponsoring in part this review that you're watching. But yes, we did have a younger person who was a little tired, which I think that's important to include in the rating a little bit.
Right.
You?
And it was the daughter, and she usually will stay up very late then just fall asleep whenever she needs to.
I don't think she was that riveted by it.
She got bored.
She got a bit bored.
Said, I'm done. And it was during some action scenes. She's like, no. And she is 10.
She's 10.
Did not like the movie.
Yeah, our son is 12. He felt it was entertaining, but we might dabble a bit into the whole DC versus Marvel thing here.
And I quote, Marvel's better.
Yes.
That's what he said.
That's right. And guys, let's have a disclaimer too. Our first season of UnpauseIt was reviewing all of the Avengers movies from Iron Man all the way up through Infinity War. We're a little partial to Marvel.
Now a quick recap.
Yes.
It's been a while since we've been on kind of a hiatus for school.
Oh yeah.
Kids are in school, they need to learn. I'm in school, people need to learn. Learning means doing homework, not doing broadcasts. However, we have yet to see, I think, a Marvel movie that's as good a movie as, I would say, The Dark Knight.
Correct.
We've kind of talked about this in previous, podcasts and things, and it's almost a perfect movie, despite its fourth act, if you will. But it just embodies what a superhero movie can be.
Yeah.
Almost what a detective superhero movie should be.
Yes.
It's got a great villain. It's got a great twist villain. It's got good intrigue. It's just an excellent movie. However, as far as the DC extended universe is what they're kind of calling it, but the DC film universe, the DC FU.
Whoa!
is what they're calling. Can't hold a candle to it. The worst Marvel movie, I'm into, is better than any DC FU movie except perhaps Man of Steel.
All right.
Maybe.
Maybe. And I want to deviate a little bit. I know that's how you felt about the movie. Our
personal opinion.
Yes. Our daughter obviously fell asleep. Again, might have been a little bit attributed to the late evening or the late hour, but also the fact of the content. Our son was entertained by it, but he came away with his discriminating mind and was like, this isn't the best movie I've seen. It was okay. It was okay. Yeah. I did find it to be entertaining. I will say that there are some startling moments, and by startling, myself and the person next to me, Maya Parrish, who is all about the wine, and she loves wine. But man, we were sitting next to each other, and I think we were both jumping in concert and possibly moving the whole thing. Again, no spoilers there, but there are some startling action sequences where you're like, "Whoa, where's that coming from?"
Comic booky, very sure.
Very comic booky.
Not exactly grounded in reality. Guy can breathe, talk underwater, and swim super fast. And kind of has super strength and is not quite bulletproof, but sword-proof.
Very strong, very much like a god.
Yeah.
Very much, yes.
He's an Atlantean. So
he's an Atlantean.
Put yourself in that mindset. The action, the visuals, the way it's just coming at you is very just on purpose. Because you're underwater, you're in a foreign environment, and they do really good job with when you're underwater. Yeah, that's when the movie looks the best. When it's above water, it does not quite look except for in the Sahara Desert. That was kind of we talked about this.
There's a desert.
It looks okay in that scene, and that's also in the trailer, so that's not a spoiler.
That's right. They do throughout the movie, they kind of showcase some different scenes and settings. So you just get some flavor, because you have to think about it. And you probably know this from the trailer. This is a bit about the surface of the planet versus the depths of the planet under the ocean. So, but you do get some nice visuals of the characters going through different scenes and settings around the planet. And I did think that I thought the visuals were very beautiful. I did really like, to your point, I loved how they depicted the underwater scenes. I was a little afraid that there would be a lot of fins, and I was pleasantly surprised.
Fin action.
Exactly. I want to point out, Mia is watching with us too. Definitely entertaining, some plot holes and lags. I would also like to discuss the second half of the movie once we don't have to worry about plot holes, right? Yes. And Mia, we're going to have a spoiler zone at the very end of this broadcast so that people, and we'll make sure we alert people too, so they are aware that, they can tune out for that if they don't want spoilers.
Yeah, going on some of the stuff that we're talking about, though, with the above ground versus below water, and we're in the desert, we're in Italy, we're in Atlantis. No spoilers there. He's an Atlantean, he's an Atlantean. That's part of the Aquaman lore. He's underwater. It's all over the place. That's a criticism I have of this movie, is that it could have been a great Uncharted movie. It could have been a great Avatar: The Last Airbender movie. There was a scene where it was like, oh, this is Katara from Last Airbender. It could have been a great political intrigue movie. It could have been a great environmental movie. It could have been a great just action CG thrill ride. What it did was it took big swings and big parts of all of those genres and missed them all.
Yes. So harsh critic over here, which is important to know, though, right? I think that if you've seen a ton of superhero movies, and we have, we're very much in super. If you've seen a ton, I think one thing, and we'll maybe get into this with the spoiler section, which we're in the no spoiler zone right now.
No spoilers.
You may indeed kind of correlate certain scenes to be like, oh, that's familiar. It's a little familiar. So the familiarity part, I did feel like is like some of the trope was happening there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that for what it was, for being a very kind of big, highly anticipated, by the way, I mean, it's doing really well, by the way, overseas. It hasn't hit the United States yet. How much is it?
It's almost like 300 million right now.
Yeah, it's doing fine.
As of this recording, it's approaching 300 million before it even hits theaters wide in the United States. It is up against some serious competition, though.
True. Yeah. So, and I mean, it's a Christmas movie, you know, it's a nice time. I mean, I would say that if you're, you know, you get into the holidays, you got family in town, this movie is great to take the family out. If you just want some kind of mindless and entertaining fun, with a lot of eye candy, especially Jason Momoa, but also just the beautiful scenery and the effects. I thought the action sequences were good. I thought the effects were really decent. I did really like how they treated the underworld of the ocean. You felt the breadth of it. You felt the hugeness of it.
Yeah, you felt James Cameron stand up. You said this afterwards and say like, "Oh, that's what the abyss should have looked like." You kind of feel that, like it feels real. The effects are great.
Yes.
And when I say they missed all of those swings, but they took those swings.
They did.
Nothing was bad. Nothing was awful. Nothing was poorly done. However, there was too many direction changes. We're underwater, wet, float around, hair's like, ah, and then we're in a desert.
Yes. And so let's talk about some of these themes again. We're staying out of the spoiler zone, but we can talk about some of the themes that you will see in the movie. I thought they had a plethora, if you will, of father and child themes going through
in a good way.
In a good way.
This father loves his son. He knows that his son is Aquaman and is not pushing him to be a hero, but you know, it's like, hey, now you're finally doing this. Really well done there. You know, in Aquaman, you know, Arthur loves his dad, and he's a very family man. That's one thing that I think Disney should learn is that you don't have to kill.
You don't have to kill
your dad.
Parents. Don't have to kill the parents for the kid to excel. It's crazy, right?
Exactly. But you know, there is a parental loss in this one. Not getting into spoilers, and that happens at the very beginning, the first 5 minutes.
Not a big surprise, like guys.
Yeah.
There's, you know.
And it's more of a "I'll come back for you" type moment, and it's the minimal. It's not even a plot point, really.
Yeah.
But going through there, talking about the comment we had, there were plot holes, and we're not gonna go into that until the spoiler review. But that's I think where they were trying to do too many things all at the same time. They should have picked one. They should have picked an Uncharted theme. They should have picked the environmental theme. They had like 3 scenes where the ocean was washing up warships, was washing up garbage, was expunging itself of all of the plastics that's there. And there was an article, you know, about a month ago where every turtle that was captured and tested had pieces of plastic in it. So this is a timely message, and they could have gone that way. They could have done it with just the father-son relationship. They could have done it with the political injury. They could have just picked one and stayed with it.
Yeah. And to Mia's point, I want to talk a little more too. I mean, we've got talking about the scope of all the scenes, but then you two talk about the looks. There's some things that they do in this movie where you're kind of getting the backstory and looking back, and then it brings you back forward. So there's de-aging of characters,
which is come a long way.
It has. I felt like the whole movie, frankly, had been airbrushed.
Above water, for sure.
Yes. I was like, this is all so pristine. Everyone is just gorgeous. And so, but yeah, I felt that way too. But to Mia's point, Willem Dafoe is in the movie, and he does look a little like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, which is also timely, because she has a movie, biography coming out. But yeah, he's got man bun. What's going on with that?
Well, it's more of a man fin because his hair is kind of like weird. But I said this last night. They should have just not de-aged him. Willem Dafoe, 35 years ago, I think looked a little older than Willem Dafoe does now. I think he's actually de-aged himself a little bit.
Yeah.
He's Willem Dafoe. He's got this chiseled, granite, unique look. They didn't need to de-age it. He did not look like Willem Dafoe they de-aged him.
Well, and it's interesting too, Willem Dafoe was also in the Spider-Man movie where he was the Green Goblin.
Well, that's DC, that's Marvel.
I know, we're again crossing genres. That's almost skating into a little Deadpool commentary.
But his character, I think, is under the IMDb is Captain Exposition. I think that's his official title, right?
Yes, there's you know how you get in movies and certain characters are basically the key you have to saying what's happening. Willem Dafoe's going to tell me. He tells us a lot.
This happens here. This is why you're doing
We're not going to tell you what it is.
This, and this is that.
Yes.
So without, there's no spoilers, but almost in the entirety of his dialogue is They were doing this because of this.
Yes.
And this is why we need to do this. And this happened in the past. Now do this. You're like,
now, and let's talk a little bit about, without giving away too much, but we do have some pretty big screen names in here. One of my favorites, which if you if you see the movie, you might see a character where you're like, who is that guy? Who is that guy? No, not her. Oh, you mean Ariel? No.
Oh, no, Poison Ivy.
Poison Ivy. So one of the female characters, the female leads in this movie, who plays opposite Jason Momoa, our daughter was like, well, we can't really tell if she's Ariel or, Poison Ivy because she looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so Mia, I'm gonna let your comment spoil this. Dolph Lundgren is in this movie, and I was so excited.
He's in the credits.
He's in the credits.
I didn't recognize him because of the fantastic underwater sea beard.
Yeah, he's got a helmet going on and stuff too. But man, I was sitting next to Maya, and we're just like, who is that guy? Who is that? I know who that is. And then of course later we were rife with, I must break you. Lots of I must break you.
He should have said it.
Oh, he should have. That would have been really great if he'd said, I must break you. But he does not. That is a spoiler. He does not, in fact, say, I must break you. So I'm okay sharing.
Not necessarily a spoiler. Different movie, different genres, better movies, better genres.
Who else was in it? Nicole Kidman.
Just Nicole Kidman. Mm-hmm. She's in it. She plays the mom. That's, out there. That's what happens. That's why he's half Atlantean, because his dad's a lighthouse operator. That's from the comic books. And going to that point, not many other big names were really in it. Yeah. I don't really know who played Black Manta. I don't recognize him from...
No, I don't recognize him.
He was good, but I don't recognize him from other things. The Black Manta's dad, I recognize him from a few things, but I can't place my name on it.
Lots of dads, like we said.
There's some father-son things going on.
Definitely lots of father-son and different dynamics as well.
I did not look this up. I should have looked this up, but I took a nap instead. Because naps.
Well, we were in a late screening, and we need naps, right?
The actor who plays Arthur's dad, Jason Momoa's dad, I do believe that was also Jango Fett.
I think you're right. Yes, Jango Fett from what, episode 2?
And 1? I don't even know.
Let's see. I'm looking up. So right now, and Patrick Wilson plays King Orm. Willem Dafoe,
who did a really good job as King Orm.
That's right. He did a really good job.
That goes to my criticism again. There was too many.
Tamura.
Oh, we're King Orm now, and his power struggles and his, they're polluting us, and we need to take over the world because they're dumb. Oh, we're gone.
Yeah, there's a lot of familial stuff going on. There's political stuff for sure going on. And some really decent effects. I thought they had an okay job with like portraying some different undersea communities and things like that, just like they did on the surface. 2
problems with the whole thing. As far as effects go. One, whales don't go that deep. Period. They breathe air. They did not have air to breathe. In a couple of scenes, I'm like, where's that air coming from? He can breathe underwater, talk underwater, and he's Aquaman. So I kind of suspended reality. 2, great white sharks need to move constantly. They can't stand there, and they don't growl like bears.
Hey,
but also, they're writing them like, battle sharks. So again, kind of suspended reality a little bit. Those are the 2 problems I had. Everything looked real. Everything looked convincing.
Yes.
Everything looked like it should have been there. Everything looked like it integrated perfectly. So if they take this technology and make a good Aquaman movie, spoiler alert on my review, not very good.
The good Aquaman movie.
They can make one, and I would totally pay money to see Jason Momoa as Aquaman again.
Let's talk about why we really do think Jason Momoa really took on this role and did it well. He was one of the best parts. He had some best parts too in the movie. And for any women who like to look at Jason Momoa, this is a great movie for that. It's great. And there's eye candy for the men too. And again, kids aren't going to care. They'll be like, well, cool. That's neat action I just saw. Why was Jason Momoa so great?
But he was in it. He was he was into the moment, is what I should say. He was the son. He was the outcast. He was the superhero, reluctant superhero. He was the good guy trying to do the good thing. He was the guy like, I'm skipping happy hour for this. Man, you better buy me a beer guy. He was drinking with his dad. He was, loves his family, loves life,
loves to joke about just the scene. Like, I actually just turned to my son Wilson and said, he's kind of like you, but in an adult, really buff body that can like control animals.
He's having a great time. anything he's doing, even when he is getting his butt kicked, no spoilers there. There's fighting scenes.
Yeah.
He's having a good time. Jason Momoa looks like he's having a good time. Even if this character, Arthur, isn't having the same good time, he's having a good time. You can just tell he's enjoying this stuff. And he's knocking it out of the park.
Yeah.
Which was by far, for me, the best part of the entire movie was the title character who's in every part of the movie. So it's like, well, it makes sense.
It was a great anchor for the rest of the movie. Even if you got, and we'll talk a little bit too about just some of the acts and stuff like that. But he was a great central character to say he's always in it. We're always coming back to him and we know it. And you felt good about that. You're like, I can watch you. I love watching how you're reacting to the conflicts you're in, how you're enjoying some of the hilarity of the scene you're in and stuff like that. He felt very natural. He felt like a real person. And that's what I do like about superheroes. When you see it's like an everyday guy who might just be a little cut, but with a lot of really cool tattoos.
Little cut.
He's
ripped.
He's
ripped.
Yeah. Ladies, I mean, it's like Vidal Sassoon plus, he just like, he lands and you're just like, hair everywhere. You're like, hi. Hello, like, Jason.
I want a beer. That's, he's like, oh.
Yeah. So it's not like dudes are like, I hate you. They're like, no, I want to go drink beers with that guy. My wife can kind of drool over in the corner while I drink beers with you.
And as far as, who else are we talking about? Who else is in? That's the best part of it. But Willem Dafoe is in it. And Willem Dafoe doesn't do anything bad as far as his acting goes. He's incredible. However, his dialogue that he was giving was just purely exposition.
Yeah.
Except for maybe 2 or 3 lines. And he delivers them well. Didn't need to be in the movie. Like, his character could have been pulled out of the movie. I think it's called Falco. And every time I think of it, I was like, no, that's a luck dragon. It's not an underwater Aquaman. No.
A never-ending story.
So it didn't bring me into the movie. And the way they edited him in, we're talking spoilers here, not plot point spoilers, but the way they edited him in and how his story flows doesn't make sense. I was confused a few times. It's like, oh, wait, what? And then they come back, and then they come back to a little bit. You're like, oh, but no, I didn't need that
way.
We'll
get into that with the spoilers, which are about 8 minutes out. So in about 8 minutes, we're halfway into this broadcast. We'll give you some spoilers and talk through that. And Mia, if you're around, I might share the link with you and we can have you come on and we can talk through that too. I actually had a request by a couple other women. We'd almost like to do a adult women's only review of this movie. And we will have diverging views on this too. Well, hey, adult women and wine. What goes better together? If Jason Momoa is there, we can. Yes.
What about King Orm? What do you think about that character and the actor who played him?
So King Orm is the ultimate foil in this movie. You meet him in there, and he's the antagonist. I thought he was strong. I don't think he was over the top as other antagonistic characters in there might be. When you're like, what happened? But I liked King Orm. I did like how I thought that was pretty clear how they tied in. How is he connected to Aquaman, to Arthur? Why is he having angst and stuff like that? So I do feel like they did a pretty decent job. He had angst. He had
lots of angst.
Deep-seated issues, people.
That's where the family political drama comes in. And when you read history, when you look at the history of the world, History of the World Part 1, great movie. Politicians and people in power do things that he was doing. No spoilers yet. No spoilers on. What we have here is a monarch kind of in waiting. They get into that. We'll get into that in spoiler parts.
Yes.
But he wants to commit an action that requires support. So what you do is you manufacture some things. Spoiler free in this one.
Yes.
And politically gray, if not politically wrong.
Yeah.
And we're not, this is not a commentary on our current administration. This would be a commentary on everyone before this, because the current one's not done yet. So there's plenty of time left in that one to happen. But pretty much any time there's been a war, you can look at some spot where there was some clandestine thing happening. They could have gone there and made, again, to my criticism, that could have been so intriguing.
Yeah, well, let's talk, because if any of you guys do like movies that are like, I'm thinking Indiana Jones, I'm thinking games like Drake Uncharted, you're going to like some certain parts of this. It feels a little questy.
Very much so. Very much so. But going, kind of it's my thing there.
Sure, sorry.
But his motivations for it are not just conquest. It's, no, they are destroying my home.
Yeah.
destroying things, creatures that I am responsible for type thing, I can't just go against them without the support. So that's why he uses some questionable means. So it's not like his motivation was purely totalitarian. It's, you know, it ended up being that way because that's usually how it goes. But it started out like, oh, he's doing this. Then you can see why. He's like, but no, you know. So I liked King Orm's character a lot. So
getting back to that, so that does kind of tie in. So adults, I think, even if you aren't, you know, maybe you don't like the movie overall, you like certain parts, you're like, no, that's good. We don't plan on buying it. We probably don't plan on seeing it again. Can appreciate the entertainment of it. But there are still those themes in there that as adults, you're like, okay, I can tap into that. That gives me some complex thinking, whatever. Yeah. But then there's the whole superhero action, you know, parts and the funny parts where the kids are just like, that's great. Oh my God, that was really cool. Bam, boom, blah, scary. Or Mom, I can't believe you just jumped for the 8th time, for crying out loud.
What'd you think about that? What'd you think about DC going a little Marvel on this? Because the tone, they didn't go to the we're killing the ocean. They didn't go to the political nefariousness. They didn't go to murder.
Yeah.
There was some murder in this. Don't get me wrong. There was blatant fish murder.
There's a lot of fish dying in this movie. Because fish die.
Still, but they were sentient fish, I guess.
Sentient.
But they went light on the tone. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I do. I think this was a very, I'm going to draw this back to where we did just see Once Upon a Deadpool. Where they PG-13'd the second Deadpool movie, which it's very evident. I mean, we've seen Deadpool 2 a few times. We're like, aha, I see what
they could do this. You know, to that point, they could do that first because they just didn't put any of the special effects in.
I know,
which is blood. They're like,
a lot of blood
to save some money, not do that.
But I do feel that, to your point, I feel they did that pretty successfully with Aquaman, where it was not, there was not a lot of gore or anything where, like, you know, your kids are gonna have nightmares or anything, or feel like, oh, I just really, the violence just overtook me there. It was all very safe violence, even like a lot of major conflicts involving weapons and
some things that were happening. There were some deaths and there were some things that happened to humans off screen.
That's right.
Buildings falling down, things of that kind of nature. Off screen. They marveled it up a little bit. They took the tone away from the dark Batman versus Superman. You know, they took that back a little bit, and I enjoyed it. Again,
it's entertaining. So if you're planning on seeing Aquaman, again, go in, be ready to be entertained, particularly.
Lots of popcorn.
Popcorn's great. But I think we both agree, and even the kids can agree too, you're going to be entertained and you're going to like Aquaman. He had Jason Momoa not been in this movie, I think this review would have gone way different. But I think if you go out and see it, you decide to invest in that and get yourself tickets for you and the family or just yourself, you know, because I think you're going to get entertained by this new movie no matter what. It just, if you are a superhero fan, it probably won't be your favorite superhero movie.
Maybe. And what is his weapon called? Can you remember?
Yes, it's called, I have it written down. It's called the Trident. I actually had to turn to my son. I'm right. I have like notes, which you can like, oh God, she was like writing in the dark on that one. But I turned to my son. I'm like, what is his weapon called again?
So how, out of 10 tines of a trident, which a trident only has 3 tines, by the way. But we're going to make this one a 10-tine trident.
10-tine trident.
Out of 10 tines, how many tines do you give this movie?
I'm going to give this movie 5 tines of a trident.
I'm going to agree and give it 5 tines.
5 tines.
Which is right in the middle. Now, if you get 50% in a, school, that's an F. But this is, I would give this, if I was going to translate this to a letter grade, I'd give this a C. Just, it's not bad. Could have been a lot better.
It's a matinee, guys. I would recommend,
by far.
Investing in a matinee viewing of this movie. And if we're wrong and you're just like, oh my God, you guys, what were you thinking? Please comment on the video and let us know we were wrong, and then go back and see it and pay full price.
And then we'll block you and you never see us again. No.
We're not going to block you. The only reason we block you on this channel is if you started leaving vulgarities or threats of violence, which that's a standard process. We won't block you.
YouTube blocks.
You're not going to do that.
But, seriously, give some comments, give us some feedback, and let us know what you think about the movie.
That's right. Okay. I think we're ready for the spoilers part.
Spoilers dead ahead. Oh, matey.
So if you do not want to see spoilers about Aquaman or hear them, you need to turn off this channel right now. We're going to give you exactly 10 seconds to do that. Turn it off. We're going to sip our drinks slowly. Pinkies up. Get our little notes together because we're going to dive into some spoilers, people, and actually give away things that happen in the movie. You have been warned. Spoilers are happening here for the Aquaman. I'm just going to leave that banner up about spoilers dead ahead because they're happening. So that way if you see it, you're like, go away. All right.
This is when the spoilers happen.
This is when the spoilers happen. All right. I'm going to say, so you guys have seen movies where the first 10 minutes can sometimes grab you emotionally. We may even have some here on our wall.
On the wall of awesomeness.
The wall of awesomeness. Up is a great example. Okay, Up is a great example where you can like cry and I'm Mia. I am going to send you a link here momentarily in about 10 minutes. Okay, and then we'll have you come on. So movies where you can cry and you're like, God, we're barely in this movie, and I'm like, and I'm notorious for this, right?
Well, no, we're comparing the first part of this movie to probably the first 15 minutes. The greatest first 15 minutes of almost any movie. Like there's entire movies there's like, well, it's still not as good as the first love story in Up, right? So kudos to Disney, kudos to those animators that did that. So we are setting the bar at the ultimate where you can start a movie at the biggest emotional pull and then have it be hilarious, have it be drawing, have it coming in. They did not do that. So what happens is Arthur's mom, Queen Atlanta, I think her name is Atlanta. She's the queen of Atlantis, but runs away because she doesn't want to have an arranged marriage and things like that. But
understandable.
She's damaged. The lighthouse keeper, played by Jango Fett, finds her. I find out what his name is. He's amazing in this movie. He's really good in the 3 minutes in this movie. He's really good.
Tom Curry.
Tom Curry. So it's not Jango Fett, I don't think.
It might be Jango Fett. He looks
just like him. You know, rescues him. They fall in love, and it's kind of voiced over by Jason Momoa. It's like, my parents fell in love. They weren't supposed to fall in love, things like that. And it's like, well, they could have done that quicker steps, and they just kind of drew it out. And there was a fight scene at the very beginning.
Yeah, all I gotta say is when we got to the point, we alluded to it in the no spoiler zone that there is a parent that leaves, and so Jason Momoa's mother, who is of the ocean,
she's attacked.
She needs to leave to protect them, and I felt zero feels about that. I mean, I'm just like, okay, she's leaving.
Like, oh yeah, she has to leave. Of course.
And guys, I'm a mom, and whenever it comes down to like it's a mom with their kid, usually I'm just like, meh.
Dude, there was a Toyota commercial the other day.
True, it's so true.
Where the soldier comes home and all this snowman.
Actually, that was a commercial in the theater.
Yeah, and that's how we saw it. We don't really watch television because television kind of sucks. So the snowman was like this. You know, they're all got like twig salutes.
They're saluting.
And she's just like, oh my God.
And I felt totally, that was actually going to see Once Upon a Deadpool. And I'm crying. Why am I crying so bad? So yeah.
Zero feels in this one.
I had zero feels. And that's one of the first things I wrote down. I'm like, they are not getting to my emotions like a Marvel movie would or like a Pixar would. It just didn't hit me. And you guys may have a different experience. I didn't. I'm like, I think you're trying to tap into something too. I'm not invested yet. Sorry.
Well, if Jason Momoa died halfway through the movie, I'm like, oh, so they did that. If his dad died, I'm like, oh, that sucks. I wanted that. Nothing was invested. There was nothing pulling me in. There was no pathos. There was no one moment. There was no dialogue.
I want to put Mia's comment up she had earlier in the broadcast before when we had the spoiler-free zone. She said she wasn't blown away by Nicole Kidman. Then maybe this role would have been better served by a lesser-known actress. I do agree with that because I just never saw her as anything but, hey, that's Nicole Kidman.
Well, it seems to me like they cast Nicole Kidman. This is just, don't read trade magazines or anything. As you're going to be in this franchise now. So now we're going to have a bigger part for you in the next movie or something like that. And I'm like, maybe. I don't know. I could have done without the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Quite frankly.
Yeah. And again, no feels. Later there's a reunion. She's able to see. And so this, again, spoilers are rife here. You see her go. You assume she's gone for good. She's not. She and Jason Momoa, she and Aquaman reunite. Right. Zero feels again. I'm like, that's cool.
Did you think of How to Train Your Dragon 2 at that point?
I so thought of How to Train.
That was feels. And that was like, oh my God.
All right.
And How to Train Your Dragon 2 had 10 times the emotion of Aquaman.
All right, let's talk about all the different movies that we thought of as we were going through this.
We were on the same page on this one. We got in the car afterwards, like, did you think about the movie? Like, I totally thought about that movie.
So we thought about Captain America, Winter Soldier.
Oh, yeah. You know, the coming back and
running through. So there's a point where a soldier is running through walls, and it's so from when Captain America is chasing down Winter Soldier at the very beginning of Captain America Winter Soldier running through walls. We're like, yeah, that's reminiscent of what just happened.
The bad guy was chasing the good guy or whatever. But it was the same thing, running through stucco instead of drywall. But it was the exact same scene.
We had Hunt for Red October throwback. There's our submarines in this movie, and there's a point where one king only, where submarine is pretty much launched out of the sea, and I'm like, wow, that's like that scene in Hunt for Red October.
That's in the trailer where he's doing that. It's kind of like, oh, he's doing this, and that's because from Pirates. There was a scene though that was like, oh, this is Uncharted or Tomb Raider.
Yes.
And it was in the Sahara Desert because the desert was an ocean at one time because of the geological changes of the world and everything. But they could have stayed in the desert. They could have stayed in the ocean. They pick one. Pick one. I'm gonna say it more times. I'm gonna say it at least 5 more times. Pick one.
Pick one.
But they take this thing and it goes in the thing and things start moving like they do in a video game because after 6,000 years, nothing's gonna be moving. Nothing's gonna be there, but it does because it's a video game movie.
That's right.
And something happens, like, oh, this is great. That's Uncharted. They were doing that, but there could have been like obstacles to get there. There wasn't. They were just walking in the desert and fell into a hole. Now, during that scene, though, we both thought of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Ah, yeah,
the cartoon, because the M. Night Shyamalan movie, it's horrible.
That movie's awful, but the animated one on Nickelodeon is what we love and we watch every year. One of the characters in it is a waterbender.
Katara. Totally thought of Katara as I was thinking of Avatar: The Last Airbender series, I should say. The way she was moving it, the way they did the effects of pulling the sweat off of Jason Momoa's forehead to use
right
water
out of
Airbender.
There. Oh my god.
It was so there. And I'm like, if they can make that look good, they can make an Avatar movie or series. It's coming to Netflix, I think.
Oh, I know. Live action one is hopefully that's good.
Hopefully they use this technology because it looks great. But that was also another genre. It had the Abyss. We already mentioned the Abyss.
Yes, this was there's a lot of Abyss throwback where you get down to the depths. You're like, wow, the Abyss built a village. Neat.
Water moving.
Lit up things, interior lit, kind of jellyfishy looking, buildings and stuff. Like, it was very abyssy.
I forget what it's called, but it's like,
and also the trench. There's a trench going down where they're going down with a lot. They had a flare, just like the guy had a light when he's going down in the Abyss trench, and it's like same thing. Hold the light. Oh, hope the light doesn't give out.
Yeah. Also, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, so much.
They were in a pirate ship in the middle of the ocean in Atlantis. Full of gold and treasure and skeletons. I'm like, okay. It was just a lot of throwbacks. We even thought of Ant-Man and the Wasp because there's a character in here who is from Ant-Man and the Wasp. He's he's the agent, the really likable agent in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Yeah, he's the
he plays I think he's, and I guess
he's Korean. Oh, what is his name? I can't remember his name. He's so good.
I'm gonna go find it.
He's the one that's like, no, let me tell you. He's Captain Exposition in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
And the dad was Jango Fett, by the way.
Oh, was
wanted to know that.
At least I'm not losing my mind.
Randall Park is Dr. Stephen Shin.
And the spoilers, the end scene, which we kind of skipped out on, is where Black Manta, which I'm about to get to Black Manta.
Oh, bring it.
Meets Stephen Shin. And I'm not a comic book reader, really. I like comic movies. I like the lore. I will read the stories without the art and then see the art later type thing. It is not my thing. He meets him at the end in the end credit scene, and apparently that means something. But Black Manta did not need to be in this movie. It was the most forgettable part of the movie, unless I forgot something that was more forgettable.
Yeah, Black Manta. I mean, can we just talk about his suit at the end when he got like the extra equipment? He did look like a bug, overly like a bug, and I'm like, okay,
why he looks like a Black Manta.
But it wasn't cool. I was not like, oh, that's really cool. It was more like, oh, you're a mantis now. Cool.
Did not need to be in the movie. Period.
Yeah.
They could have had the actor in there for the next movie. It was another thing. It was a pick one.
Yeah.
So didn't work at all.
Any more about Manta before we bring Miss Mia Voss on?
One more thing.
Yes.
The actor did a good job. I believe his pathos. I believe that he's just a guy trying to make his way in a superhero world. That was okay, but they should have explored that. You know what I mean? Another switch to be like, well,
okay,
should have had that one too.
We're bringing in Mia Voss. Let's see, and I'm gonna orchestrate around our. Ooh, does that work?
So weird.
Yeah, because we're wide and we're hi. How are you?
Oh my God, I'm over here. Like, please bring me on so I can go.
Bring it on. All right, Mia. Talk to us about what struck you. What's the first thing you want to say about this movie?
Well, can I just go back to the yes. outfit thing, the bug thing? I'm like, what is that? Like, what does that even have to do with the fact that you look like a really terrible 1950s movie? And his character was just completely implausible and unnecessary. And they kind of throw him off to the side. He gets thrown over the cliff, and I'm like, where'd he go? Right?
Yeah. So him going off the cliff. I feel like that. And we stayed for the final scene, right? Did you see him? Like, was he back? Because we saw him get thrown off the cliff. Was Black Manta back in the end scene?
Oh yeah, he no, not after the credits, okay. But no, he was in the he was in the credits.
Okay,
right, Charlie? Yeah, Black Manta was in the credits.
Yeah.
I'm translating for you too because I have an in-ear and Maya doesn't. I'm basically
I can hook in. I'm not hooked in at the moment.
It's us. We'll do this. We'll get our little
he was in the credits too. So that was kind of interesting too because it was kind of a bigger thing to just sort of sneak in as that little Easter egg. It kind of reminded me of Dawn of the Dead. If you stop watching Dawn of the Dead at the very end when they sail off, and he's got the bite, you're like, oh, maybe things are going to turn out well.
A little Dawn of the Dead reference.
No, yeah.
Yes.
Put that in his ear so he can hear me. He needs to hear me. Overall, I mean, if it were not Jason Momoa, it would have just tanked. And then there's such beefcake things, like his very first comment. I was like, oh my God, could you get any? Obviously.
Oh yeah, talking about like when he enters and he's like, hey, beefcakey thing going on there.
Reminds me of like Gidget, like when we have my Frenchie's little like. This kind of thing. I'm like, wow, that was really cheesy.
It was a little over the top. Like, hey, if you weren't sold on how amazingly gorgeous his body is, are you now? And you're like, I'm good, thanks. Don't need any help.
I love how they included his sense of humor. It reminds me of the nascent Rock roles when the Rock was really, and he's still good looking, but he had a sense of humor. They're doing a very similar thing. I'm like, I'm starting to see the beginning of that. I also caught a Fifth Element reference.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, when they they put the little thing in and they turned it and then they got the sweat from his face.
Yes, that's exactly.
Super Fifth Element.
I love that you got a different movie from it too, because like it feels like everybody's gonna have that's like that movie and that's like that movie, and it might be different movies, but it's like other movies.
Very much.
And I was wondering if I didn't maybe get a lot of references because I haven't I haven't gone through this this laborious amount of movie seeing.
Oh, the Marvels.
Right, and it's so funny.
All the Marvels.
Yes. And it's so funny because the gal that is with the PR agency that's sends us to these, I said, can I add someone else? She said, yes, just make sure to tell them it's not Marvel. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, okay, sorry. So because I was like, I don't know what that I mean, I know what DC and Marvel is, but I don't. To me, it's like trying to explain the what's it called, the AFC and the NFC, like. Who cares, right?
Like if you go in, making it matter where it's like, make sure people are, that's interesting. She said that, she's like, I don't want your expectations to be Marvel level. If this is a DC movie, it's like, do you realize what you're saying? I mean, it's almost like they kind of knew what they were up against and realizing that some of us have.
Well, she just said, just tell them it's not Marvel. And I went,
okay. It's not Marvel. This isn't a Marvel movie.
That's what they said to her?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, we know it.
So I was like, all right, is Jason Momoa still in it?
Hold on.
Right.
Okay, Maya's going to get his. We want to both hear what you're saying.
He can't take it. Yeah.
I know. You love how I'm trying to speak. I'm doing Helen Keller going on here. Like, hey, so I'm going to kind of interpret what you just said through my response. So he kind of knows. But instead, we're actually going to make this work. Okay, so.
Okay.
Okay, everybody take a drink. Pause for a drink. we're gonna spoilers dead ahead again. If you're watching this, I'm still gonna talk. If you're watching this and you are here for the Aquaman review, we are talking spoilers right now. The first 30 minutes of this video is not spoilers. It's a spoiler-free zone. We give your parent rating, we give you our rating, and things like that.
You know what?
Can you hear me?
It's a big world. It's a big world out there. If you're going to see about spoilers, you all need to take your cell phones more. So yes, I could not get over the Willem Dafoe. I just kept going, is that Ruth Bader Ginsburg? Because he's got his hair like really tight back, right? He's got it in a little bun, and I was like, dude, y'all need to rethink that.
He looked like he had a
seashell little doily dicky right here. That's all he.
Yeah.
Well, that means hitting the internet. You know it's happening.
Oh, totes. And then I get you on the poison ivy thing. Spot on. Nicely done.
That was Georgia.
Outfit was it Georgia?
Yeah. She's like, that's girlfriend. Poison ivy. We're like, get it, girl. That's
totally
right.
Yeah. It's just not Uma Thurman, and we're good to go. I also think that it's complete throwaway role for Nicole Kidman. I mean, not even necessary, and quite frankly, it was age inappropriate for her in a sense, because she's maybe a couple years younger than me. I'm 53, and I was like, and that's cool. I mean, we're already having a hard time getting women into roles.
I know.
To get away from her.
Yeah.
But I do want to say, like, we could have just gotten somebody else in it that wasn't distracting. I literally felt like she was distracting. And then, can we go full on? Because then she comes rolling up, and she's got that weird ass like fish outfit on. I'm like, what's happening here?
Have you seen?
She's in disguise.
And how is she as tall as Jason Momoa? There's the other thing.
I mean,
I know she was taller than Tom Cruise, because who isn't?
Well, who isn't taller than Tom Cruise? I mean, he has to jump on couches to be taller than people. I mean, and if anyone doesn't know what that's about, go Google it. Good Lord.
Yeah, go Google Oprah and Tom Cruise.
It's so, I mean, when Maya brought up too, he's like, that was very much the second How to Train Your Dragon. That's what the kids' mom and the How to Train Your Dragon. It's better than this.
Also, quickly, she was all disguised in that. That's like Reavers from Firefly, from Serenity.
Oh, Reavers.
It's like, this just reminds me of all these other movies.
Well, and cool too. I love an homage. I love it. A nod too. So, and I actually thought real quick that the scene in the Italian Village, when they're having that moment, I was like, Raiders of the Lost Ark, when they're going through and he's reunited with Marion and they're walking through that piece. And then I thought, boy, I felt sorry for those villagers. They're like, get the hell out of my bed. Y'all just jacked up all of our terracotta.
You have just messed my whole
church
city up, right?
Is destroyed. To your point, Nicole Kidman's only 13 years older than Jason Momoa.
Truth. And then what happened too, because they had her not age when she came back. I'm really getting into it now. Here we go.
Get it, girl.
When she came back, she's looked, completely like, why is she making out with the old bald guy on the dock out there?
That did feel really
weird. He's Jango Fett. He's badass. It
felt weird. And honestly, can I just say that was probably the only part I felt a tiny bit emotional. I'm like, that's neat for him.
Yeah.
He's been holding the flame for her forever, and there she is. When he so I did actually I think I might have got a little tiny bit misty when he's telling his mom, she's like, how's your father? And he's like, he still walks to the end of the dock every night, and you see him do it. I was like, oh, that was it.
There was no dust in the theater whatsoever.
It's not dusty.
Yeah,
totally. And when you just said, how's your father? That reminds me of how Solo married an axe murderer. And he goes, how about a little, how's your father?
And again, it's like, we should have a drinking game when we watch, if we watch this again, saying, okay, if you can name another movie that this particular moment is referencing,
everybody's got to go.
Everybody go.
We would make it through half the movie.
And the abyss thing, absolutely. When that came up from underneath, I thought, and Hunt for Red October, spot on, nice.
Thank you. Right.
A little Episode 1 Star Wars, with the lights, a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Tatooine. There was a little bit of a little chime sound, I think, that sounded like doo, 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 or like ET or something.
Oh no,
that was. And then think about Hunt for Red October, Russian soldiers.
Did you get any Clash of the Titans when the big sea monster comes up?
Totally. And I kept thinking, Charlie, where's the giant crab, man? We're total crack and crab. Crack and crab. Right?
Totally. And we were one of the previews for this one was obviously Shazam, and the other one was Godzilla King of the Monsters, which I am looking forward to seeing that movie. And Willis and I will go see it. The girls, I don't think are into that. Georgia's not into it.
Georgia doesn't like him. She
did not like Kong Skull Island at all. Too scary. But that's what I was thinking of. I was like, oh, he's Godzilla gonna come in here and like lightning blast this crab monster?
So let me talk about that. So first of all, I would say for children, that scene when they were showing how we destroyed everything, and I had a hard time with it. Like,
really,
I'm so sensitive to environmental stuff, and then they were putting the whales and the whole thing, and I was like, can't watch it. But I felt like they started to go to that, and then they never addressed it, right? Yeah. Here's the reason why we start the war, because we're douchebags. Whatever, I get it, and I love that. I was like, I wish that would happen. Of like all the ships and all the garbage. Like, see, told you.
Yeah,
right?
And we would have been okay if they wanted to turn this into a big environmental statement. That's okay. Stick to that. But I felt it was such a mishmash of different themes.
It's like it's like me trying to tell a story, like, and I'm like, oh, and I forgot that there's this, right?
I know. ADD-DC.
That's like me trying to talk about anything ever. Pretty much. I agree with that totally. It could have been a great environmental movie. It could have been a great political movie. It could have been a great just uncharted Indiana Jones adventure movie. It could have been this great special effects, no story whatsoever, but look at this movie. It wasn't any of them.
I know. It could have been that's Frenchie. She did it about that.
This is the Friday with the Frenchie. She's like, why is Mama so wound up? Then one more point on that too. So then they're going to so he's arguing, whatever his name character is, he's arguing the one who's going to the gatekeeper of the
ocean. I have it written down. The Ocean Master.
Ocean Master.
Totally reminds me of Ghostbusters with the gate. Are you the gatekeeper? No, I'm the master.
Another movie.
Right. Totally. So then, but here's the thing: they're all talking about the environment, and then they go hellfire on each other down under and blow stuff up, and I'm like, well, what did that?
I know.
What just happened?
Surely that has consequences, guys. Yes.
Really upset. That was actually kind of upsetting. I'll be honest with you, because I was like, you see all these wonderful creatures, and you're right, a lot of them can't go that far under the surface or the depth. But I was like, so what happened to the assholes up top? Because you just blew each other up.
Mm-hmm. So, did you feel it?
Creatures scare the crap out of me.
Oh, those ones for the trench creatures. Yes.
Yes.
I was laughing.
Did you feel a disconnect too? I think this is my biggest complaint. Probably my biggest one. I had no idea where Willem Dafoe came from. Like, they mentioned him. So the first mention you get of him is where Aquaman comes back. Arthur comes back from that submarine interaction. And he's on the end of the dock. And his dad says something like, oh, I see you're doing this like so-and-so taught you. And I'm like,
and I was like, okay, was this and that's when I thought maybe as a non, cartoony character, whatever, person that I missed something. And then they
did not. They had no, and then you only get later, you're like, okay, so this is who he was talking about back there.
Right.
Yeah. And that goes to our point to Up, where it could have done that, where he could have been introduced, or, Jason Momoa, because he was voiceovering it, right? This is my mom.
Yeah.
Film with my dad. And then just like 4 seconds go by and they're, in an embrace. Like, we don't need to see that story. He just tells us they fell in love. It was it wasn't love at first sight, but they came to love each other.
Probable. She's over there ready to try. She tridents his TV. And then she shows up in some kind of weird outfit, and it could have. It just looked like way too much manipulation of each of their faces as well.
I think it was trying to put too much of it. Too many things that were in the comics into the movie itself. Yeah. Now at the end, where she's leaving, I gotta go. This is political. They'll keep coming. They'll send an army this time. That makes sense. Okay, it's like, you're gonna send not 5 guys. You're gonna send 500 guys, and we're gonna die.
All good.
Okay, go. And if she just says 4 words, I'm sending someone to help you.
Yeah.
I'll
send my dude.
Oh, it's Willem Dafoe. That's who's helping. Oh,
right. I got an inside man. You know what I'm saying? Because then all of a sudden he shows up, and they're both on either side of him, and you're like, okay, so how did they play this thing, and then how did she get engaged to him? And
yeah, they could have worked it into that fight scene when they're sitting there all, love you, which was the first jump that happened. But
she showed up. Was like, hey, what's up?
And be like, I see you're too connected and you want to help this kid. Very cool.
Right.
Yeah. Willem Dafoe character is horrible.
Yeah. And I also got the fact that Poison Ivy, what's her nuts, sort of shows up out of nowhere, right?
She showed up out of, I know, I'm
Amber, like at the bar.
I'm sorry, did he see you? I kept thinking,
does this happen to him a lot? Or?
This was I kept thinking, did I go to the bathroom and not remember? And miss like a part that
she comes out of the water.
I don't know. I mean, then he looks at her kind of like, oh, you again. And I'm like, but
what of you again? That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. It felt very much like that. I'm like, does this happen a lot? I don't understand.
Now, Amber Heard can't act. I'm sorry.
She can't act her way out of a paper bag. Bless.
No.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Bless it. She's probably the only time I thought she was great was in the zombie movie as the neighbor. With you know what I'm talking about? Zombieland.
Oh, Zombieland. She was. But that was,
she was.
But that was a minor thing. It's like, I didn't.
No, she was better in that.
She was better in that.
That was her starring role thus far. Loved her. Loved her in Zombieland. All 2 minutes.
Loved you the zombie who turned.
Good pull. Good pull. I only know her as Mrs. X Johnny Depp. That's all.
Taking dogs over to New Zealand when I shouldn't. Right.
That's right.
But I think Jason Momoa actually did the best out of everybody.
We agree.
Good throwaway lines, but good funny and good little insert lines and stuff. So they served him well on that.
His chemistry was great. He just felt like and it did tie in perfectly to when he finally does battle his way up to the trident and show that he's like, I'm nobody.
And then he shows up, like he goes from like Sporty Spice J. Crew look. And he just comes rolling out with that badass
he was rocking a man bun a little bit.
There was some man bun.
I have to. They really did need to quaff him a little bit more too. Sometimes.
Yeah,
he's got a bunch of seaweed and plankton in his hair now. I guess I don't know.
Well, that part felt one more call out. It felt a little bit like Captain Steve Rogers, where Red Skull, and this again is a Marvel reference, but Red Skull's like, what makes you so special? And he's like, nothing. I'm just a kid from Brooklyn. Then you've got Arthur in there saying, I'm nobody, I'm not worthy. I know I'm not. And then the big creature's like, all right, we'll go try.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't seem like, I think what we're all getting to here, and every story that we have here is pretty funny, and it's all valid. Nothing was original in this movie, except for the way it looked underwater. I think that was the only original part of the whole movie is, I can see they're floating around in water, and I believe it. That's it.
Yeah.
Very well done. They had, they got very concentrated on how the hair looked when it was tethered or untethered.
Oh man. That's why he had the little Ruth Bader Ginsburg hair fin. So he didn't have it all around.
He needed to keep that down. It was very undecorous if he had it down and waving around and all that stuff. That ain't going to work for his look. Captain Exposition.
Yeah, I will say, and I don't know what series this is in, but recently I got recommended to and watched Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, I
mean,
that's like Willis's
favorite movie.
I see why when it starts off and you're just thinking it's so serious, and he's like, then he's spinning around. He goes, "Wait a second."
Then it's like, "Oh, your horn's up there. It's a crown."
I swear, I'm not doing this.
That movie, because we'll end a little bit on this, but
hey man,
but that movie. So that one had all the feels and hit all the points. You would laugh your butt off.
Right.
You're in the action and you feel, and you're like, God, that was really gut wrenching just then. They nail it. And then I feel like this could have been that. It just didn't. As you said, they took a swing. They took several swings. Didn't quite get there. Again, still worth a matinee to take the family and go have some entertainment.
Yeah, if you can get to the very first show, oftentimes they're $5 at most theaters for the very first showing of the day.
Except for us. So we want to point out again that this show and this screening was brought to you by Mia on the Go. Mia Voss. I'm sorry, say it again.
That's me.
That's you. That's Mia. So Mia, she is the bringer of the hashtag female buying power. Yes. Mia is a lifestyle and luxury blogger. And man, I want to go to Italy now because you blogged about that recently and it looked amazing. So
it looked amazing in this movie.
It did look amazing in this movie.
I know. Now I want to go to Sicily, just so you know.
I know. I mean, who doesn't? Right.
Let me just point out that my blogs also include zombie apocalypse ratings, including my car reviews.
She does do that.
How would you survive? How would you survive? What are the what would it feel like if the zombie apocalypse broke out, and how could you survive? So I do include that.
I think that's it. It's completely relevant rating. And hey Mia, so one thing we do on our broadcasts, and we'll end with this, is that we always create our own kind of measurement, our rating measurement for the movie custom on what it is. So imagining that we had a scale, so we have a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best. Imagining there were 10 tines on the trident, not 3 or 5, but there's 10 tines. How many tines of the trident would you give this movie out of 10?
I'm going to go with what you guys went with, which was 5.
Okay. 5 tines, take
5 tines on the trident. What's that? What's the big fork?
Did you like my comment? Stick a fork in me.
Yes, I did.
I was like, is that too soon?
You said too soon.
Yeah, it was too soon. It was way too soon.
By the way, I'm old enough to actually remember when there was a gum called Trident. I don't know if they still have that, but
I mentioned this last night.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Here about how there's a gum called Trident. How can you forget the word Trident?
They're not the same. It's not like the gum's in the shape of a trident.
It's not. Lord. I don't know where they went with it, but I would give it 5 times on my trident.
5 times of the trident. Well, yes, you guys all heard it here. We were so blessed to have Mia Voss join us, who helped make this screening possible. This early screening and review you now have of Aquaman. And so again, first half hour is a spoiler-free zone, but we just dove into all the spoilers for this last half. But please leave your comments if you disagree with us or agree with us or have your own takeaways or say,
or if you don't like my giant earphones that I borrowed from my son, who left them down here, thankfully, because I can hear what's going on.
Yes. And let me know how I did with the Helen Keller translating as I was hearing things and trying to let him know what that was.
You did very well. Then I was like, please go get your headphones. He's got it.
All right. Well, Mia, thank you. Of course. Thank you. And I think we might still have to do an adult women and wine review of this movie because our good friend Maya might have a different opinion about this movie. She's got a different opinion than we do.
She does, actually. Yeah, she's lock, stock, and barrel. So
she's all in. She may buy it. Yeah. And watch it multiple times. All right. Well, thank you for joining, and thank you everyone for watching. And let us know in the comments too what other reviews you'd like us to do. Have a great night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.